Well, before the age of high security and glass screens at the teller, a trip to the bank could be a risky business. In the 1980s, as many as 8 armed robberies a day were reported across the country. In January 1984, the number was up for a branch in Sydney of the Commonwealth Bank when a gunman named Haki Atahan walked through the door.
But this heist went wrong. Atahan took a group of hostages at gunpoint on a cross-city car chase, ending in a dramatic shootout. Well, we have found the main players in this incredible day, and tonight they tell their story for the first time.
It was 3:30 on a Tuesday afternoon when police got the call. An armed bandit had taken hostages at the Commonwealth Bank in George Street.
The gunman was armed with a revolver and he had 2 of the hostages at gunpoint, crouched directly in front of him. He was said to be irrational and with a psychiatric background.
One of the first at the scene was Detective Senior Constable Stephen Canellis of the Armed Hold-Up Squad.
By the time we got there, he had already discharged 2 shots, I think, from memory. But there were a number of police there, snipers were in position, they'd set up a perimeter and the negotiators were negotiating with him.
But this bank robber was in no mood for negotiation. In an extraordinary move, he forced the hostages to form a human shield and walked out the front door, straight past heavily armed police who were powerless to stop him.
It's a sight that I'll probably never forget, incredible sight where he's walked out, surrounded himself by the bank staff and holding the gun against the bank manager's head.
The gunman used his hostages as human shields. The heavily armed police swarmed in but held their fire.
Among the hostages, a young loan assistant, Jeff Finlay.
There are a number of occasions where I thought, okay, do I grab him? Do I tackle him? Do I run away here? But that's the safety of the other people that came into consideration again. So no, you do the job, because if you run away, somebody else might be dead as a result.
And he kept walking through the streets and they were looking in cars, and he found a car that somebody had left their keys in. So they jumped in the car, and that's when the siege became mobile. We jumped in our car, and as it turned out, we happened to be the lead car behind his car.
From the bank, the gunman led a cavalcade of 20 police and ambulance vehicles out of the city. After passing through the eastern suburbs, the chase crossed the Harbour Bridge to the Manly area.
I guess at that stage, we were concerned because he had the hostages, he had them in the car, he had control of the situation, and we just had to really just play it out and see where he was heading.
The chase was covered live on radio and television. This deadly situation was becoming a strange circus.
We had people running beside the vehicles, coming out of shops, out of unit blocks, waving and cheering. There was a sight to behold, really.
Some people from memory were running up close to the side of the car and waving and saying, "Oh, you're an idiot," and all this sort of thing. It was just crazy. It got to the situation where there was so much of it happening that I started to wave and smile back at them.
By now, the siege was 4 hours old and the gunman was getting more and more agitated. Police decided to stop the chase at the Spit Bridge.
At that stage, somebody suggested that we should put the bridge up. Put the bridge up and contain him there, which was tactically a great place to do it.
The bandit was surrounded. Officers begged him to surrender.
You're okay, no one's trying to hurt you and no one will. I give you my word on it.
He was waving the gun out the window, swearing and hurling abuse at everybody. He's quite off the planet at that particular time.
Suddenly, the car made a U-turn and tried to break through the police line. Detectives Canellis and Packer used their car to block the getaway.
And I walked up to the car, and of course at that stage we're thinking, well, he's going to give up now. There's police everywhere.
And we just got out and stood beside the Datsun 180B. Steve was at the driver's window and I was at the passenger's window.
So I approached the window with the shotgun, the head and the shotgun through the window. I said, you know, look, it's all over. Come on, give it up. And then he just shot me right in the face.
There's been some shots. There's been shots.
With his partner down and a car full of innocent hostages in danger, Detective Packer had to make a split-second decision.
It was an instinctive reaction, and I fired my revolver into the vehicle, and it shattered the window of the car. My shot went in between the hostages through the headrest of the car into Atahan's head.
35-year-old Hacky Atahan, unemployed of Manly, lay dead in the gutter. Detective Steve Canellis of the Armed Hold-Up Squad and two of the hostages were rushed to hospital. Canellis had been shot between the eyes and the bridge of his nose.
It hit here. It went through, somehow went through my skull without touching anything of any importance, then clipped the back of my skull, and then just travelled down the side of my throat and is now lodged right here under my collarbone. Still there, yeah.
22 years later, Detective Canellis is retired from the force. He's well, and he counts every day as a blessing.
I don't know how many times I thought, how lucky am I, you know. I've had 22 years to watch my young boys grow up to the fine men they are today. I've you know, had 22 years of living that I probably, in all honesty, shouldn't have had, because I really basically should have been dead.